First Contact and Betrayal. The observation deck of the UES Vanguard offered an unparalleled view of the stars, a vista that Captain Harrison Reed had never tired of during his 15 years in Earth's stellar fleet. Today, however, his attention was fixed on something far more significant than distant suns. The massive Varaxian diplomatic vessel approached with graceful precision, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in patterns that no human architect could have conceived. "Quite the sight, isn't it, Captain?" remarked Lieutenant Thomas Way as he joined Reed at the viewport. The younger officer's eyes reflected the same mixture of awe and apprehension that Reed felt, but worked hard to conceal. "Indeed," Reed replied, maintaining his composure. At 45, with steel-gray eyes and shoulders that carried the weight of humanity's first extraterrestrial diplomatic mission, Harrison Reed was the embodiment of Earth's hopes. "History doesn't often announce itself so dramatically, Lieutenant." The CEO. Truth was that Reed felt every gram of responsibility pressing down on him. The Varaxians had answered humanity's deep space transmissions just 4 months ago, their response coming so quickly that Earth scientists had barely had time to decipher their language before the aliens announced their intention to visit. Their technology was clearly centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. Faster than light travel, energy shields that could deflect asteroids, and medical knowledge that suggested they could extend human lifespans by decades. "Admiral Tanaka is waiting in the meeting chamber with the delegation, sir," Way informed him. "The Varaxian shuttle is preparing to dock in Bay 3. Reed nodded, straightening his midnight blue uniform with its silver insignia, the Earth surrounded by olive branches, the stellar fleet's symbol of peaceful exploration. Before leaving the observation deck, he touched the small holographic projector on his wrist, activating a brief image of his wife Naomi and their daughter Zoe, both living on Neptune Colony. The family he hadn't seen in person for 8 months. "For a better future," he whispered to their images before following Way through the ship's corridors. The meeting chamber had been specially prepared for this historic encounter. The circular room featured a large round table with Earth's nations represented by subtle insignias etched into its surface. Admiral Katsumi Tanaka, the head of Earth's diplomatic corps, stood with 4 other representatives, scientists and linguists chosen for their expertise. "Remember," Reed instructed his officers quietly as they took their positions, "no sudden movements. Follow protocol exactly as we practiced." The airlock cycled with a gentle hiss and the chamber fell silent. The Varaxians entered with fluid, synchronized movements. They stood nearly 8 feet tall, their bodies covered in what appeared to be iridescent scales that shifted color with their movements. Their elongated heads featured no visible ears, only small sensory ridges, and their eyes, 3 per individual, arranged in a triangle, blinked independently of one another. Most striking were their limbs, 4 arms, each ending in hands, with 7 digits capable of impossible dexterity. The lead Varaxian stepped forward, its scales shifting to a deep azure. "Greetings, Captain Harrison Reed of Earth," it said in flawless English, its voice resonating with harmonics that seemed almost musical. "I am High Emissary Zelvox of the Varaxian Concordat. We come with peaceful intent and curiosity about your species." Reed stepped forward and performed the greeting gesture they had been taught. Right hand open, palm upward, left hand over heart. "High Emissary Zelvox, on behalf of humanity, we welcome you. We are honored by your presence and eager to build bridges of understanding between our worlds." The first meeting extended for nearly 7 hours. The Varaxians exhibited boundless curiosity about every aspect of human existence: biology, culture, history, technology, and especially warfare. They asked detailed questions about Earth's conflicts, strategies, and weapons development. Reed interpreted this as an attempt to understand human psychology and development patterns. In the months that followed, the relationship flourished beyond anyone's expectations. The Varaxians shared medical knowledge that led to treatments for previously incurable diseases. They provided insights that helped Earth scientists make quantum leaps in space travel efficiency. They invited human researchers aboard their vessels and demonstrated technologies that had previously existed only in science fiction. Reed made regular transmissions to Naomi and Zoe on Neptune Colony. "The universe just opened up for us," he told them during one call. "When I return, I'll bring you both to see the Varaxian gardens on their diplomatic vessel. They have plants that respond to musical tones, actually changing color with different notes." 8 months into the diplomatic mission, the Varaxians proposed establishing a permanent exchange program. They suggested a human embassy on one of their outer worlds, while they would maintain a substantial presence on Neptune Colony, which they found fascinating due to its unique atmospheric composition. Reed was delighted. Neptune Colony was where his family lived. The arrangement might mean reassignment closer to home. 3 years passed, and the exchange program thrived beyond all expectations. Thousands of Varaxians now lived among humans throughout the solar system, with their largest settlement on Neptune Colony. A smaller number of humans had traveled to Varaxian worlds, returning with extraordinary stories and knowledge. Earth's technology advanced rapidly with Varaxian assistance. Diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries were becoming manageable. Clean energy was abundant. It seemed like the dawn of a golden age. Reed, now promoted to admiral for his pivotal role in establishing first contact, was working in his office on Earth when his aide, Lieutenant D.V. Patel, burst in without knocking, her face ashen. "Admiral, Neptune Colony has gone dark," she reported, her voice trembling. Reed's blood ran cold. "Define dark." "All communications ceased 27 minutes ago. Long-range telescopes show—" She hesitated, swallowing hard. "They show explosions across the colony's surface, sir." Reed bolted to the command center. The main display confirmed his worst fears. Neptune Colony, once a glittering beacon of human achievement with its massive domes and orbital structures, now showed only flashes of fire against the darkness. And surrounding the moon were ships, not the elegant diplomatic vessels the Varaxians had always shown, but angular, predatory craft bristling with weapons. "Get me the Varaxian ambassador immediately," Reed demanded. But the Varaxian embassy had been evacuated an hour earlier. They had slipped away while preparing their attack. Reports flooded in from across the solar system. Varaxian citizens had simultaneously disappeared from every human settlement. Their diplomatic vessels had all departed orbit at precisely the same moment. Then came the transmission. It appeared on every screen throughout Earth and its colonies. The face of a Varaxian filled the display, but not the friendly ambassadors humans had come to know. This one bore dark markings across its scales, and its 3 eyes glowed with an unsettling intensity. "People of Earth," the Varaxian announced, its musical voice now carrying undertones that raised the hair on human necks. "The assessment phase is complete. The Varaxian Concordat has determined that your species is unsuitable for genuine partnership, but highly valuable for resource extraction and biological study. Your outer colonies are now under our control. Resistance will result in the sterilization of your homeworld. We thank you for your cooperation during our evaluation period." The transmission ended, leaving screens blank across human territory. Reed stared at the empty display, his world collapsing. "Naomi," he whispered. "Zoe." Communications with Neptune Colony slowly returned as surviving colonists restored emergency systems. The reports devastated what remained of Reed's hope. 60,000 dead. The colony's main domes breached. The Varaxian Cultural Center had concealed a massive weapons platform all along. Among the confirmed casualties were Naomi and Zoe Reed. 5 days later, as Earth mobilized for war, Dr. Jacqueline Novak, Earth's leading xenobiologist, discovered the horrifying truth. Hidden within the medical technology the Varaxians had shared was a sophisticated method of gathering human biological data. The cultural exchange had been an elaborate cover to study humans for weaknesses and to map Earth's defenses. Even more disturbing, intelligence recovered from a damaged Varaxian communication device revealed that humanity was the 23rd species the Varaxians had approached using this method. The others had all been conquered or eradicated. In a secure underground facility beneath the Himalayas, Earth's remaining leaders gathered to formulate a response. Admiral Reed sat silently as generals and politicians argued strategy. Finally, He stood. The room fell silent. His face, once diplomatic and hopeful, had transformed into something harder, something forged in the crucible of personal loss and betrayal. Reed looked around the room, meeting every eye. But they made a critical mistake. They should have destroyed us completely in the first strike. Now we know what we're facing. His hand formed a fist on the table, and we will show them something they've never encountered before. A species that, when pushed to the edge of extinction, doesn't surrender. We fight back. The room remained silent for a long moment. Then someone began to applaud. Others joined. In the sound building until it filled the chamber. The war had begun, and humanity would not go quietly into the darkness. Humanity's counterattack. 5 years had passed since the devastating attack on Neptune colony. The war against the Varaxians had proven even more brutal than humanity's darkest projections. Earth's orbital defenses had been breached 3 times, with millions of casualties across the globe. Mars had fallen entirely, its colonists either killed or, worse, captured for the Varaxians' mysterious biological research programs. Jupiter's moons held out only because of the ingenious shield technology that Dr. Olivia Jensen had developed using reverse-engineered Varaxian tech. Admiral Harrison Reed stood in Earth's last major military command center, buried deep beneath the Andes Mountains. The once diplomatic officer now bore little resemblance to the man who had welcomed aliens with hope and optimism. His face was hardened, a jagged scar running along his jaw from a close encounter during the Second Battle of Luna. His eyes, once bright with curiosity, now held the cold calculation of a man who had lost everything but the will to ensure humanity's survival. "The Callisto outpost has fallen," reported General Dominic Ortega, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display showing the remaining human territories in the solar system. "That's the 4th outpost this month." Reed nodded grimly. "Casualties?" 8 ships lost, but they managed to evacuate 70% of the civilian population first. A small victory, but Reed would take any victory these days. Around the darkened command center, the faces of Earth's remaining military leadership showed the strain of fighting what seemed an unwinnable war. They were outgunned, outmaneuvered, and running out of resources. "Admiral," called a young communications officer, "Dr. Jensen is requesting your immediate presence in Laboratory 12. Reed exchanged a meaningful glance with Ortega. Dr. Olivia Jensen was humanity's most brilliant scientist, leading Project Prometheus in a facility carved into the ice, beneath Antarctica. If anyone could find a way to turn the tide against the Varaxians, it would be her. "Tell her I'll be there in 30 minutes, Reed responded. The journey to Laboratory 12 required taking a high-speed magnetic train through tunnels that hadn't existed before the war. Human civilization had been forced underground, away from the Varaxian bombardments from orbit. As Reed sat alone in the transport car, he reflected on how much had changed. Before the conflict, humans had dreamed of exploring the stars. Now, they burrowed deeper into their own planet like rodents hiding from predators. Dr. Jensen met him at the laboratory entrance. Tall and wiry with close-cropped silver hair despite being only in her 40s, her intense green eyes carried the spark of discovery. "We've found something, Admiral," she said without preamble, leading him into the vast laboratory where hundreds of scientists worked on various aspects of Project Prometheus. "Something the Varaxians don't know we know." The laboratory was filled with captured Varaxian technology, much of it damaged but still yielding secrets under the relentless scrutiny of human researchers. Jensen led Reed to a secure chamber in the rear of the facility. Inside, a strange device pulsed with an eerie violet light, a hybrid of crystalline structures and metallic components with no obvious controls or interfaces. "This is an intact quantum resonance node from a Varaxian command vessel," Jensen explained, her voice quickening with barely contained excitement. "Commander Wallace's team recovered it during their last raid on the Ganymede staging area." Reed knew of Commander Jasper Wallace. The man led Earth's remaining special forces on seemingly suicidal missions behind enemy lines. Somehow he kept returning, usually with valuable intelligence or technology. We've been studying how the Varaxians coordinate their fleets, Jensen continued. Their entire military structure is based on quantum entanglement networks. Each Varaxian soldier and ship is linked to a central consciousness. Not quite a hive mind, but something close. It's how they achieve such perfect coordination in battle. Reed frowned, his tactical mind immediately grasping the implications. You're saying they're all connected like a network? Precisely. And we've discovered a vulnerability, a way to potentially disrupt that network. We're developing what amounts to a quantum virus, a cascade algorithm that could infiltrate their system and cause catastrophic disruption to their communication abilities. For the first time in years, Reed felt a genuine spark of hope. How long until it's ready? 2 weeks, maybe less. But we'll need a delivery system, some way to get it directly into their command network. Before they could continue, Reed's secure communicator chimed with an urgent alert. Admiral, we have an incoming transmission from Commander Wallace, reported his aide. His team is under heavy fire, but they've captured something you need to see immediately. Reed and Jensen rushed to the communications room. On the main screen appeared the face of Commander Jasper Wallace, a man with copper skin and eyes as hard as flint. Behind him, flashes of weapons fire illuminated what appeared to be the interior of a Varaxian vessel. Admiral, Wallace shouted over the chaos. We infiltrated a Varaxian research cruiser. We found out what they're doing with our captured personnel. The camera panned shakily to show rows of transparent containers. Inside each was a human body, connected to a web of tubes and monitoring devices. Some were clearly dead, others still, moved weakly, their eyes wide with horror. They're not just studying us, Wallace said grimly. They're harvesting genetic material, testing our adaptability limits. I'm sending you the data we recovered, but you should know. They're planning something big. Final phase of their conquest. 3 weeks from now, they're bringing in their main fleet. Their sovereign vessel will enter the system. The transmission wavered as another explosion rocked Wallace's position. Get your team out of there, Commander, Reed ordered. Working on it, sir, Wallace replied, the image distorting. But there's something else. The sovereign vessel, it houses their central network node. If we could target that. The transmission cut off abruptly. The command room fell silent. Finally, Jensen spoke. 3 weeks. That's all we have left. Reed turned to face her, determination hardening his features. Then we have 3 weeks to perfect your virus. And we need a delivery method, a way to get it into the heart of their fleet. Over the next 20 days, Earth made its final preparations. Dr. Jensen and her team worked around the clock, refining the quantum virus. Commander Wallace, who had managed to escape the Varaxian research vessel with 2/3 of his team, helped plan the delivery mission. The plan was desperate. A small strike force of Earth's fastest ships, modified with technology reverse-engineered from captured Varaxian vessels, would make a run at the Varaxian sovereign ship when their fleet arrived. While Earth's remaining defense forces engaged the Varaxians in what amounted to a suicide mission, Wallace's team would slip through the chaos and deliver the virus directly to the central node. On the eve before the operation, Reed visited the launch bay where the strike force prepared. 10 ships, each with a crew of just 4 people, 40 men and women who might save humanity or die trying. Commander Wallace stood inspecting the lead vessel, a sleek black ship that had once been a scientific exploration craft. Admiral on E. Deck, someone called, and the busy preparation paused as personnel stood at attention. As you were, Reed said quietly, approaching Wallace. How are the preparations? As ready as we can be, sir, Wallace replied, his expression betraying nothing. The ships are modified, the crews are briefed. The virus is secure. Reed studied the small fleet. You know the odds. Wallace's mouth curled into something resembling a smile. Permission to speak freely, sir? Always. The odds have been against us since the first day of this war. Hasn't stopped us yet. Wallace's expression grew serious. The Varaxians think they know us. They've studied us for years, but they missed something fundamental. What's that? Humans are at their most dangerous when they have nothing left to lose. Wallace gestured to his crew, men and women checking weapons and systems with grim efficiency. Everyone here has lost someone to the Varaxians, family, friends, homes. We're not just fighting for survival anymore. Reed nodded slowly. We're fighting for justice.